Visit us at Eduvvo. Thank you for calling Eduvvo.
Initially on text views. A text view is what we use to display text in our app, and as such it's a pretty fundamental user interface or UI element. A view, by the way, is the word used to describe pretty much anything that we put on the screen. So a checkbox, toggle button, spinner, any of these things would be views, and that works the same with iOS development as well. So if we tap on Hello World, and by the way, you'll need to be editing activity_main.xml to be able to do that. We can zoom in a little. And you can see on the right here, we've got some margins and some other settings for the text view. So the most obvious of those is the actual text content itself. So I can edit it right there. Let's say I want to change this to Hello Rob, and you can see it updates right there on the app. Just tap back on it. And if we run our app and choose the same device that we created a couple of videos ago, you'll see that straight away the content of the text view has updated on the app itself. Underneath that, we've got this new for Android Studio 3 option with a spanner next to the text. And you can see what this is for if you use Control Space to get a list of options. And essentially we can either choose a type of text. So we've got examples, cities, avatars, days of the week, etc., etc. Or we can choose specific strings or icons to display. And there's a lot to choose from there. So if I choose, say, the copy string, then in English that would be displayed as copy, but we could change the language of that very easily and it would update automatically to whatever copy is in the language that our user is using. So that can be very useful for certain types of text. But we'll go back to our Hello Rob for now. Then we can add a description if we want to our content. I'm going to leave that blank. We can change the appearance. So you can choose from a range of the different kind of standard styles within Android. Just pop one on there. There you go, which have certain sizes and font weights and colors, etc. Again, the advantage of using those is because Android knows what sort of text that is, it will update and it will look nice regardless of the device that the user is on. So I'd recommend using the default ones when you can, but if you really want to customize, you can choose from a range of font families, install your own fonts, as you'll find out how to do later on in the course. And you can edit all of these. You can feel free to play around with font sizes, line spacing, which won't make any difference because we've only got a single line there. We can change colors. And again, we get a range of standard colors. But if you want a very specific color, then hover over the three dots until you get the button appearing and then click. It can take a couple of seconds to come up, so be patient. And again, you can choose from all the standard colors, or you can select from a range of different colors, or once you've got a color, you can edit it to display however you like. So let's leave that as red. There we go. And you'll notice I've updated the primary dark color there. So wherever I use that color, it will now be red. Bold, italic, and caps. And alignment here, which won't make any difference because we've chosen a layout width, which is wrap content. Can't quite see the wrap there. In fact, let's give ourselves a bit more room. There we go. So we can see the options. But if we change the width to match constraint, for example, that will then stretch out the text field to the whole width of the screen. And then if we were to align to the right, for example, or center, that would make a difference. And next we've got a whole range of attributes. So we've got a default one of visibility there, where we can make a text view invisible if we like, but I'll keep it as visible for now. And then we can view all attributes, and there's just a massive range of attributes that we can edit if we want to. I'm going to just pick out a few that will be useful not only for text fields, but also images, any other type of content that you want to display within your app. So as with layout width, we change that. We can change the height as well. So if we want to make it full height, we can do that. We can add constraints, so linking it to different parts of the screen. So at the moment, the bottom is matched to the bottom of the parent in this case being the constraint layout, or the frame around the main content area of the screen. The left is linked to the left of that, the right is to the right of that, etc. But you can change those to customize the layout in many different ways. We're going to look at that in more detail later in the course, but feel free to play around with it for now if you like. We can add margins. So let's quickly put a margin in. Again, we can choose default ones. So let's go for that. So now we've got a 64 dp margin. dp is short for density independent pixel. And this is a quite clever unit which automatically adjusts for the pixel density of a device, which of course varies a lot from one Android device to another. If you want to know more about how they work, just Google Android DP and you'll get a nice clear guide of exactly how they work. But for now, you can just work with them as if they are pixels. So that's our margin, our padding. We can type in a specific padding if we want. Lots of other options there that I'm not going to go through all of them now, or you'd go mad, but I will show you the alpha option. Alpha is a number between 0 and 1 that decides how opaque the text view is. So if we go for, say, 0.5, then you can see it becomes slightly faded. 0.1 is very faded, and 0 is essentially invisible. So that can be really nice when you're layering some text on top of an image, for example. You can fade that text out so that the image can still be seen through it, and that's a really nice effect. And we'll be using it a lot in the course as well. Another option that's worth being aware of is gravity. So scrolling down to gravity there, and that just allows you to play with how the content of the text view floats around its container. So for example, we can move it to the bottom. Changing it from left to right doesn't actually make any difference because it's centered, but if the text was free flowing, that would then move to the left or the right. So gravity can be a really useful way to lay out your UI elements. And then again, if you want to stop and look at some of these, you're very welcome to do so. But I'm just going to bring your attention back to the text options, which we looked at earlier. So we can change all of those there if we want. And just one more that I meant to show you at the beginning, but scrolling back up to the top, is background. And just like with all other colors, we can choose from a range of colors or edit our own color to act as the background for our text view. All right, so I hope that was reasonably useful and clear. There's obviously a huge amount that you can edit there, but we've just gone through the basics for now. If you want to return back to the fewer attributes view, you can do that with the button at the bottom. But for now, I'm just going to give you a little challenge. You'll find I do that a lot throughout all my courses. It's really important not just to sit and watch, but to actually put this stuff that I'm teaching you into practice. And at the end of almost every video, there will be a little challenge for you to do exactly that. So you can see I just deleted that text view there. We're going to bring in a new text view. And notice we've got a range of different types of text views as well, if you want to use them for specific types of data. I'm going to drag in the text view, and you can see as we move it around, these lines appear, which just give you guides as to the layout. So we'll have a centered text view. And there we go. Notice that we've got an error there, and that's because this view isn't constrained. Remember, the view is the text view itself, and it's just floating around there. We haven't decided exactly how it should be fixed on the screen. So one way to do that is to add in margins, which we can do by plus, 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 and plus, and the text view is now constrained by those margins. So now I've shown you that, let's get rid of this and give you your challenge, which is to create this text view. So we want it aligned centrally and towards the top of the layout. It should say migrate app in green and bold and pretty large font, and with a lovely orange background there. So it doesn't necessarily look beautiful, but it will test that you know how to edit and customize text. All right, so I'll leave that there for you as a guide. Time to pause the video and recreate the migrate app text view. Go for it. Okay then, here we go. I hope you managed to do that, but I'm just going to show you how I would have solved that. So we'll start by dragging in the text view towards the top. And before I add the margins, I'm going to add the content that I want for the text view. So we'll change the text to migrate app. And then we want to make it 30 SP. So notice that the text size is given in SPs rather than DPs. An SP is a scale independent pixel, which is essentially the same as a DP, but if the user decides that they want all of their text on their Android device to be a little bit bigger or smaller for whatever reason, the SP will be affected by that. So generally you should use DPs for design in general, but SPs for text size. So 30 SP looks about right to me. And we're going to add bold. And we'll change the text color to dark green. There we go. And I'm going to bring it back so it's centered. And finally, I'm going to change the background to that lovely light orange. Fantastic. Not the most beautiful title text for your app, but it shows that we know what we're doing when it comes to changing the color and background size and font weight of our text view. So now that we've got it, let's just get rid of all the attributes, and I'm going to add in those margins. So it should display at the top and center of my device. Let's just click play to make sure. And there we go. You can see it's displaying where we want it. It is always worth running your app to make sure, particularly in terms of layout, that it displays how you want. Just because it looks right on the layout guide here doesn't necessarily mean that it will look good on the screen. Excellent. So now that we've learned how to customize and work with text views, we're going to start making interactive apps. And we'll do that by learning how to add buttons to our apps and writing a little